Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Christy. Welcome to my backyard jungle. I am really enjoying this week, Info Week. I know I say that every week, but I just love doing new things, doing new series of things. I feel like I have so much to learn when it comes to fitness. What is fitness? Fitness. I have so much to learn when it comes to fitness and exercise, and I know probably most of us do. Like I said in yesterday's video, I'm working on my personal trainer certification. Hopefully I can talk through the rest of this video. And I am learning so many new things. I've learned a lot from my personal experience, from my broad education in college, with regards to public health, but I am really enjoying learning new, very specific things about our personal training, personal health, individualized plans, that kind of thing. So I was asking you what kind of questions you had regarding that. And Glenn _419 asked me, what's your advice for stress eating? So this is a really hard one. Personally, when I am stressed, I don't want to eat. And I think a big part of that is because I have a lot of gut issues. So my body is just like, don't you dare put anything in here, something's wrong, you know? But I do want to eat when I'm sad. So I emotionally eat. And stress eating, eating when you're happy, eating when you're sad, all of these things are under the umbrella of emotional eating. It's some kind of emotion that's making us want to eat. So number one, stress eating, by the way, is natural. It's not that there's something wrong with you necessarily. It's not that you have a disorder or that you're weird or crazy. When our bodies are stressed, just naturally, historically, biologically, as we've grown as people, oftentimes when we're under stress, we need more food to fight off the lions or, you know, run away from the opposing tribe, right? So it's normal. It's not weird for your body to tell you eat when you're stressed. But most of the time, especially in our modern society, thankfully, we don't deal with starvation quite as much. If you're asking this question about stress eating and you have an iPhone to text me with, I'm guessing that you probably don't deal with a lot of hunger and starvation. Now, that is not to say that there is not a lot of hunger in the United States, that's where I live, or that there isn't a lot of hunger in the world, because there really is. But I think if you are watching this video on YouTube, you probably don't have to deal with that as much as the average person in another country. So I think first we can just acknowledge that we are so blessed that we don't have to deal with that. But I kind of wanted to get into my advice for stress eating. And some of this comes from my personal experience from emotional eating, from being sad and therefore eating food, having food for comfort. Because often with stress, we are eating for comfort, just like any other kind of emotional eating. So I think the first thing that we need to address is not so much the eating, but address the stress, because the stress is what is causing the desire for you to eat, to overeat. So number one, I would say address the stress. So first, acknowledge what the stress is. And that might take a little bit of thinking. Often, my husband will ask me, what's wrong? And I'll be like, nothing's wrong, I'm fine. And then I'll realize I have something that's been laying on my heart, that's been weighing heavy on my mind. And it takes somebody to instigate that, somebody to say, hey, are you okay? Is something wrong? For me to realize, yeah, something's wrong. I need to talk about something. I need to change something. So address the situation and let that stress eating signal that your brain is sending to you, let that catalyze you to address the stress, okay? Then I want you to ask yourself, can I do anything to change the stress in my life? So maybe the stress is you have a friend who is constantly asking you to do things for them and is taking advantage of your kindness. In that situation, you might be able to do something, maybe have a talk with them and tell them that you understand that maybe they're in a tough spot or they're in pain, but at the same time, you need to not be stressed out as well. So if it's something like that where, or maybe it's a work stress and maybe your boss is someone who listens to you, maybe you could address that stress, then try to do something about that stress if you can. Now, if it is a stress where there's nothing you can do, like with the coronavirus, there's nothing that you can do to change the fact that often we have to be in social isolation. We have to be in quarantine. Maybe you worry about getting the coronavirus and how that would change your life. I would really encourage you, for those things that you cannot change, I want you to try to let them go. Okay? And what I mean by that is yeah, the coronavirus is still there. You're not letting the coronavirus go, but you're letting that stress go. So it's gonna take repeated, constant, mindful letting go. Okay? So let's say that you're going throughout your day and you find that trigger to emotionally eat. What are you gonna do? Instead of running and going and getting something to eat, think, hey, why am I feeling this way? And then I want you to think, can I do something about this stress? If you can, I want you to try to do that thing, or at least take steps towards changing what the stress is in your life. But if you can't, what I want you to do is to think, there's nothing I can do about this. Breathe out. Maybe even open your hands, relax your body, breathe out, and breathe out that worry, breathe out that stress. I know this sounds very juju mufu, but the reason I'm saying this is we are psychological beings. We have, our brains are very complex, and often these kind of practices, kind of like breathing out the worry, giving it away, that can be very helpful in de-stressing. So I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ as my Savior. So what that means is that in the Bible it says, if you have an issue, if you have a problem, if you have a burden, is the word that it uses, roll it onto God, give it to God. So something that I'll try to do is I'll try to open my hands, I'll be like, I give this to you, God. And then that's it. I just move on with my day. I'm gonna not worry about it. I'm gonna not try to think about all the horrible things that could happen to me. I'm just going to give it to God and continue. So just try to have that kind of practice of give it away, let go, breathe it out, and move on. And some days I have to do this literally 1,000,000 times a day with some issues. But with some issues, that's all that I can do. And so that's what I have to do, okay? So, and then I also want you to give yourself grace for not being able to change whatever that stress is. If you can if there's nothing you can do to change that stress, give yourself a little grace. We're not superhuman, we're human. There are some things we cannot change, and that's okay. Give yourself a little bit of slack, but do try to change what you can. So be like a parent to yourself and tell yourself, you know, I can't change this, I'm gonna give myself a little grace. Or maybe I could actually change that, it's hard and I don't wanna do anything about it, but I'm going to because I know it would be best for me. So very long explanation of address the stress, but that's number one, address the stress. Number two, I would really encourage you to eat healthy food and to drink water, because if your body does not have the nutrients and the hydration it needs, it's going to be running on a higher stress level than if you were eating healthy foods and drinking lots of water. Your body doesn't have what it needs, so it's under stress. So this might take your stress from 100 to 90 by eating good food and drinking water, but that little bit of reprieve can mean so much to your mental health. It can be huge. So really try to be thinking how you can just add a vegetable to your meal, or how you can drink water instead of soda. Little changes like that, because again, you don't want to stress yourself out by completely upending your life and changing your diet. But I do want you to think about, could I get broccoli as a side for this instead of French fries? Little things like that. Doesn't have to be an upending of your life, but just small changes. Number three, learn to say no. This is ginormous when it comes to stress management, because that's really what I'm talking about in this video, is stress management. Now, I'm not saying that you should never help anyone. I am not saying that you shouldn't look for ways to help people. But sometimes, like I was talking before, people take advantage of kindness, or people don't even know that maybe you're strung really thin and what they're asking you isn't huge. But maybe you need to just say no to seeing someone or even having a Zoom call with someone. Sometimes you just need some alone time and you just need some self-care. And that is okay. You need to, again, like I said before, give yourself a little bit of grace. And it's okay to tell people, you know, tonight, I know we had a Zoom call planned, but I can't go tonight. Or maybe you had dinner planned with your parents, but you're really, really stressed out. You know that maybe talking with them about current events would make your mental health worse. So maybe talk to them about that and say, hey, you know, I've been really stressed out. You know, tonight I just need to relax, take a bath, watch some TV, I need to relax a little bit tonight. And it's not that I have anything against you or that I'm upset at you. It's a personal thing. I just need a little bit of rest. And the thing is if that person really cares about you, they might be disappointed, but they're gonna be glad that you told them that you shared that with them, because they love you and they want you to have good mental health and to have good physical health. So learn to say no. Sometimes it can just be because you're stressed. It doesn't have to be because there's been some catastrophic, I couldn't remember that word for a second, the catastrophic life event. It could just be that you're stressed, and that's okay. Number 4, and this is really big, get enough sleep. Right now, with us not having any kind of schedule, it can be really hard to discipline ourselves into getting enough sleep. When we have to wake up at 5 to go to work, it's easier to say, okay, I've got to go to bed. It's 10 o'clock. I've got to go to bed if I want to be able to function tomorrow. But when you don't have to get up at a certain time, it can be harder to get enough sleep in a weird way. So I want you to really schedule yourself to get enough sleep, and try to go to bed at the same time and get up at the same time. And I know this is boring, this isn't fun, this isn't exciting, but it's really, really helpful for stress management because your body knows what's happening. So it helps with what's called your circadian rhythm, but it's just the rhythm your body goes through in a day. And our bodies like to maintain the same thing all the time. It's called homeostasis. Our bodies like to maintain that. And going to bed at the same time and getting up at the same time, eating meals at the same time, all these things help our circadian rhythm to be in a good, healthy rhythm, and our body's going to be happy because we're doing the same things over and over, and it knows what to expect. So when something unexpected comes in, often that can cause stress, and our cortisol, which is a stress hormone, can go up. And that's not a good thing. So try to go to bed at the same time and get up at the same time, and try to get enough sleep. And even if you can, this isn't as big of a deal, but if you can, try to have meals even at the same times during the day so that your body knows what to expect and won't be stressing out quite so much. Okay, and then the second to last thing that I really wanted to talk to you about was mindful eating. So if you're stress eating, often what this does is it kind of ends in like a binge almost, where we have this feeling of stress and automatically we're like, oh, gotta eat something. And so we'll go and we'll just grab whatever's around and we'll just eat it. And we won't even be thinking about the textures, about how it tastes, because we're caught up in our feelings, because that's the actual issue. The issue isn't the food, the actual issue is the feeling. So I would really encourage you to, number 1, chew thoroughly. I know this sounds kind of weird, but you've probably heard of this before. But taking time as you're chewing to chew your food more thoroughly instead of just like sucking it down like a vacuum, try to chew it, because your teeth are part of your digestive system. You need to chew your food so that you can digest it properly. So that in itself can cause a very slight stress. But the main thing is that you're being more aware of how much you're eating. You're slowing down. That's the idea. So as you're eating, slow down. It's really great if you can sit down for your meal. It's great if you can eat with other people. Eating with others can be very helpful for us not to be stressed. Next, I would say set down your fork in between bites. So again, this is just helping you slow down. So take a bite while you're chewing, set down your fork, chew. Maybe take a little sip of water. But this all again is just slowing you down. It's helping you feel like you're not stressed, because if you're eating in that fast way, it's just adding extra stress and encouraging your mind, oh yeah, I'm stressed out, I'm eating fast. It's breaking the cycle of all this stress. Then I would really encourage you to, as you're chewing slowly, as you're setting your fork down, really think about the textures and the flavors of the food that you're eating, and really enjoy it and savor that food. Instead of feeling guilty and stuffing your face, instead eat mindfully and really enjoy that food so that you won't be stress eating, you'll be enjoying what you're eating. And then lastly, I would say listen to your satiety signals. Now this is really hard and it takes time to figure out, but it just starts out by thinking, am I full? Am I still hungry? So kind of start with that. So before you eat, listening to satiety first starts out with, am I full? Before you start eating. If you're already full, you shouldn't eat, right? Because you don't need it. You already have food in your body. If you're just eating a ton of food, that's gonna stress out your body again, because it's gonna have to digest all that food, which actually takes a lot of work for your body to digest food. So first listen and think, am I full? If you're not full, then maybe think, am I actually hungry, or do I just want to eat? Then if you actually feel hungry, then I want you to get some food and eat it mindfully, but then stop eating once you feel satisfied. So that's the point where you don't want any more bites except for maybe that it tastes super good, but you're not eating more because you're actually hungry. So those are my tips for mindful eating. And then I would say, once you figured that out, find, if you're not actually hungry, but if you're just eating just because you're stressed, find other things to do. So that could be yoga, that could be meditation. Those are both really great things for stress. Exercise can be really good for stress. It is for my body. Now, for some people, it can actually make them more stressed. So listen to your body and see if exercise, like, burpees and jumping jacks and stuff like that, is actually going to help you. If not, I would say still move, but do something like yoga or walking, something that's slow, something that's not intense at all, but that's moving your body, because that's really gonna help with the fight or flight that often comes with stress. It makes us wanna fight something or run away. And movement can kind of help calm your body, because it's kind of those primitive signals that our brain will send to us. It's kind of satiating that signal. It's like, oh, she's moving, he's exercising, something's happening, I can stop freaking out now because they're getting away from the dangerous thing. Now, really, the dangerous thing might be something that's not even there. It might just be something that you're stressing about in your mind. It doesn't have a physical presence, but movement can still really help you with calming down that stress signal. And then, of course, self-care, like taking a bath, maybe getting dressed up to look nice, even if you don't have anywhere to go. Sometimes that can be really therapeutic. Reading, journaling, watching TV, and maybe even drawing or knitting, something like that that's using your hands, that's using your body. Things that are creative can also help us not get so stressed out. And then this is the really big one. If you're stressed out and it's causing you to stress eat, or maybe with me it causes me to not want to eat, talk to somebody if you're stressed out. It's kind of scary to talk to people about it when you're stressed, because it can feel like you might be judged, you might feel like they wouldn't understand, but take the risk and talk to someone who usually is an understanding person, and I bet you'll be surprised that they probably struggle with the same things or very similar things. So whether it's somebody that you know in person, in my opinion, that's best, or even if it's somebody online that maybe you've become friends with or that you admire, maybe, shoot them a DM and see if they'll message you back, and maybe they can talk to you a little bit how, they deal with stress. Maybe they have some more ideas besides what I just gave you. So how do you deal with stress? Do you find that stress eating is something that happens to you a lot? And have you found ways to deal with stress eating specifically? And have you found ways to deal with stress in general? Because I know that this is really a stressful time. But I hope that this answered your questions, Glenn, and I hope that this was just helpful to everybody, because it's a stressful time right now. But I hope that you're having a great day despite the stress, and I hope that you can remember to stay disciplined, stay strong, and be kind.